welcome to Kristen Kelly TV. So today I'm going to be doing kind of a story time, kind of not, kind of like just talking with you guys about something that has happened to me like my entire life, and I think would be really interesting for you guys to hear about, kind of just my tales of like being bullied and how it has affected me and not affected me, and different ways of coping with like internet bullying and people that are just like toxic and trying to bring you down in life. So if that's something you want to hear about, please continue watching. So I'm going to be talking about like bullying, like internet trolls, and just bullying in real life. So first of all, I'm dyslexic. Dyslexia is a learning difference. Some people would call it like a disability. However, it is a difference. It's just like a different style of learning. So for me personally, I did not read till I was older in life. I was never a great speller. I'm still like really not a great speller. However, reading and spelling was always really difficult for me. So when I was younger, I went to a specialty school for people that are dyslexic. And when I was in the 5th grade, I was tremendously behind the other students. And even though most of these students were dyslexic and did have learning differences, I was not as good a reader as everyone else. And, you'd go around in class and you'd have your books open and everyone would have to read. So in this particular class, it was English, and it was the first class of the day. Everyone in the class was like super mean to me. They would all like snicker at me, like when it was my turn to read. I would be like really struggling. Like I'd be like cat ran down the. I mean, that's not what we were reading, but something like that. But I'd be like stuttering, and it was like I was not only a bad reader, but it's very intimidating to read in front of people, and it's also really intimidating to read in front of people and have them like be laughing at you and snickering at you and like making fun of you. And my teacher was like so stupid. My teacher was never like, kids, stop that. Like she didn't really know how to control the class, and it was a very toxic and crazy environment. So I went to the principal and I went to the dean of students and I said that I was not going to be going to that class anymore because I was being harassed and I really needed like to be put in another class. So the teachers were like, well, there's no other class for you to go into. There's nothing we can do. It became like such a big problem that we had, this other teacher had come by, just to check on the class one day. And I was reading, and she, saw all the other students like rolling their eyes and laughing and, really like picking on me. And she had later that day called my mom, and she said to my mom, like, your daughter is one of the strongest like students I've ever seen. Just like a strong like woman. And I was only in the 5th grade. She said that I was, I just sat there and I tried my hardest, and I like, did everything that I could do to like, read and get through what I needed to do, and that I never crumbled. And she just found that like so endearing of my spirit, which I kind of think that, it's still, I'm kind of like that today. Bitch, I'm still like that. I got that airy swag. But really, I was like, it was horrible. There was nothing about that experience that I would wish upon anyone. Everyone in the class was like mean. They were all bullies. They were all assholes. So I had just decided I wasn't going to go to that class anymore. And from a young age, like no one has really been able to control me. So I said to my mom, like, I'm not going to go to that class. And they wouldn't switch me to another class, so I just didn't go. So I missed first period for, I would say, 3 weeks. And then at that point, they kind of figured that they had to move me to another class, which really goes to show you that I was bullied so badly. And I went to such an expensive, good school, and they didn't want to transfer me because it was, there wasn't a class available and blah, blah, blah. Like, if you push and you push and you push, you can get somewhere, because they put me, I think I just studied in the library or something for an hour. But it was really horrible. And as an adult now, looking back on the situation, I would never, ever put a child through that. And the fact that that teacher, like allowed that to happen is just so disgusting in like so many levels. And a funny story about that is that there was a boy, his name was Chris, and he was in that class, and he was like the biggest bully. If it wasn't for him, I probably would not have been bullied that much. However, he was like the real instigator. You know how like kids are, if, they see like a weak person, they all want to jump on them. And he messaged me on Facebook like 4 years ago and was like, hey, Kristen, it's Chris. Like, you look so beautiful, like, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote back, I'm sorry, who is this? Who are you? He's like, oh, this is Chris. And I was like, I'm just sorry, I don't remember. I don't recognize you at all. Where did I know you from? And he was like, oh, we were in English in the 5th grade. So I wrote back to him, you know, Chris, I just like really don't remember you. You just really weren't noteworthy to me. So then he wrote back more like, oh, I did this and we knew each other from this and then. And I wrote back to him, Chris, your breath always smelled. You were always overweight and I never really liked you as a human being. Please don't message me again. And I blocked him. Truth be told, I don't really think he was ever overweight or ever really had like bad breath. But I just wanted to like get him as much as I could. But it felt good to be like, block. Go off with your horrible life. Just other instances of bullying. So again, with the dyslexia, I went to a public school first, I think until I was in the 2nd or 3rd grade. And just kids in public school were horrible because I had to go to like special classes at the school. So they would have like special ed classes. So you would go to your like regular, 2 or 3 classes, and then you'd go to like the special ed room for, 2 or 3 classes. And the special ed teacher was the biggest cunt that you could imagine. Like, just imagine a gigantic cunt. Like, that was this lady. Like, she was the biggest fucking bitch. And I remember, like, I could not read. Like, when I say I could not read, I could not look at like, I could not look at cat. I could not be like, like, I could not see C-A-T and say cat to you. Like, sound, like, being like S-A, to be like, shh, it did not make sense to me. I mean, I can't explain how a dyslexic brain works, but it's not like everyone else's brain. I could not look at certain letters and see certain sounds in my brain. And I remember her screaming at me. Like, there was like a book and it was like a train or something. It was like going like choo choo choo. And she was like, what does this say? Like, what does this say? And I was like, I don't know. Like choo choo. And she's like, no, it says cha cha cha. Like, and screaming at me and humiliating me. And I hate to say it, but that is how a lot of special ed teachers treat their students in public schools, because they don't know how to treat them. So they think that the student is lazy or is making up, what's happening to them, when in all reality, I did not. And it was embarrassing, like even being in the 2nd grade, that was so embarrassing for me not to be able to, please her, give her what she wanted, like, read what was in this, stupid book. And I remember wanting to go get another book, and because I'd already like looked at that book for 2 hours, and her just yelling at me like, well, can you read the book? Well, if you can't read it, you can't go get a new book. Like, somehow me magically, looking at this book for 2 hours is going to make me be able to read it. End of that whole thing is that I went to a specialized school for dyslexia, which changed my entire life. I had one-on-one teachers that did Lindenmood, which like is a different way of teaching. Like, we used like blocks, and we'd use like, like the sh is this, and then, you put it with this, and we'd put, sounds together and syllables together, and it made sense. Like, it finally clicked for me. I'm never going to be an amazing speller. I mean, I probably ask my boyfriend how to spell stuff 10 times a day. Am I embarrassed by that? I mean, a little bit. Like, I wish I was an amazing speller. I also wish that I was a triathlon runner, and I wish that I had hair down to the ground. I wish a lot of things, but it's not going to change anything, Spelling was always difficult for me. Reading was always difficult for me. Math has always been difficult for me. So, is that going to like change overnight? No. But there's definitely ways of like getting better at it. And I'm kind of getting off topic like a little bit. But the whole dyslexia thing for me is we all have problems, like we all have things that we struggle with, and no one is perfect by any means. So I'm sharing this experience or these experiences with you because I think it's important that everyone knows that you're not alone. Like, there are so many dyslexic people out there. There are so many people that have hearing problems. There are so many people that have weight problems. Whatever you're going through, there are a lot of people that are going through it with you. So don't ever feel like you're alone in what's happening to you. And that's why I love the internet, because we have the ability to now, you know, like for me to upload this video and for you to see it. And maybe my story will help someone else, you know? Additionally, being bullied, other things that have happened in me my whole life, you know, I was like a very pretty girl when I was younger. I didn't know that I was pretty, and a lot of older girls like really took advantage of that and were very rude to me and mean to me. And, you know, that's just something like I had to deal with. And I remember my mom, you know, saying, oh, well, it's because you're pretty, they're jealous. And I was like, okay, Mom, like that's not true. You know, you're just a mom and that's why you're saying it. But it really was true. People will attack you for little things. And that's true with the internet too. You know, like people, if your butt looks too good, oh, she's fake. I have really big lips, people are always like, your lips are fake. You know, if you have, you know, you're too pale, you're too dark, you're too big, you're too thin, you're too this, you can never be perfect for everyone. So you really just have to be perfect to yourself. If you're happy with who you are, then that's all you need. And the whole thing with like internet, you know, trolls, you can't let people bring you down, because what their opinions are of you does not matter. Jessica Simpson once said something, and I've always found it to be so true. What other people think about you is none of your business. What other people think about me is none of my business. It just sucks that because of the internet, people can write bad things about you. And, you know, that's awful. But when it comes down to it, it's like no one knows you. You are the only one who truly knows you. And if you're happy with yourself and you love yourself, then that's all that matters. However, we're all human. And I think it's horrible when people bring down other people. You know, like if you're unhappy with something that's going on in your own life, that, you know, that's awful and I feel for you, but don't take that out on someone else. I additionally hate the fact that people really feel like they can just give their opinions so freely online when it doesn't really, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. And I truly believe that. I find myself doing it. I find myself, you know, the other day I was watching this girl's YouTube video and you could see like her extensions, and I was like gonna write like, hey hon, by the way, I don't have any extensions in right now. This is all my real hair. How insane is that? How insane that this is my real hair. Like, oh my God. I have been trying to grow my hair out for a really long time, so the fact that my hair is as long as it is right now is just like, thank you God, thank you Viviscal, thank you amino acids, thank you like all the hair pills I take, like love you. But yeah, like, you know, I was gonna write something and then I was like, why am I gonna write this? You know, like, what does it matter if I tell this girl that you can see her extensions? Maybe no one else noticed, and I don't want to put her on blast like that, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. You know, it's like you don't need to put everything that you feel like immediately online, and I feel like I do that. But I like to really like put good vibes out into the universe. I always like to comment nice things on people's pages, you know? And I think it's important for all of us to do that. And it's important for us all to realize, you know, we're in this together. And your comment really might help somebody. You know, telling someone, hey, you look beautiful. That's a really nice thing. Like, do you ever meet somebody just on the street and you say, oh, I love your outfit, I love that, and the big smile they get? That is what you can do online. You don't have to be a bitch or an asshole just because you can be. And I think that's the important thing. If you wouldn't say it to someone's face, you shouldn't say it in person. For me personally, I think that the worst for me came when I was on Bad Girls Club, because not that I was chunky or fat, but I was a little bloated looking. I do agree with that. A lot of people came at me and would say things like, oh, you're fat, would tweet me and be like, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're disgusting, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, and this is, you know, years ago. And now I look back at it and I'm like, I would never, you know, have anything to do with these people now. I'd be like, you know, just, I wouldn't look at it. But it's hard not to look at it. And I remember one time I was in the airport going to an appearance, and this guy was tweeting at me like, I hope you get cancer, and I hope you get AIDS, and this and that. And he somehow found out my family's address and posted my family's address on Twitter. And I was crying and crying and crying in the airport like a crazy person, just like hysterically crying. And I just remember thinking, like, how is this possible? This person that I do not know is making me cry. And I think about that, like, a lot of times when I want to leave comments for people, is you can really affect someone. You really can. You know, people commit suicide because people are rude to them and mean to them. And you really have to be, like, careful. Another thing is opinions about, like, sexuality, I think, are so crazy. So I just started using this app, like, Musical.ly, where you record little videos of you, like, singing, like, da 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 da, and then you upload them. And a lot of the people on there are really young. And there's this one girl that I started looking at, her name is Lauren Gray. Those comments were like, your shorts are too short. This girl was just wearing shorts, you know, like, oh, your boyfriend wouldn't appreciate you wearing that. Girl, don't you ever let a man ever tell you what to wear and what not to wear, or how to wear your hair, how to wear your makeup, how to do anything. If a man ever tries to tell you, or a woman tries to tell you how to live your life or how to, like, look a certain way, you dump them immediately. And this little girl is 13. And all these people were, you know, saying stuff like that to her. And I just felt so bad for her. Like, people are so mean and so crazy, you know, especially, like, this little girl is 13. She's going to read those comments. Oh, my boyfriend wouldn't appreciate that. Well, maybe that will affect her for the rest of her life. Or, oh, I shouldn't wear shorts. Maybe she won't wear shorts anymore. You can never let people treat you like that. And putting that stuff out there, especially when there are so many young children on different social medias now, you have to take care of it. So I love you guys so much. This is my, like, little rant about being nice to each other on social media. Like, please leave nice comments for people. Try not to put negativity out there. And that's everyday life. If you have toxic friends, get rid of them. You don't need toxic people in your life. Just like you don't need toxic, you know, you don't need to be drinking raw sewage, you know? By having toxic people around you, you're drinking raw sewage, okay? So I love you guys. Leave me some thumbs up if you like this. I'll talk to you later. Bye.